Okay, great. Thank you again. And I was really looking forward to today to really learn more about very innovative work that you have been leading. And just as a background, I had an opportunity to meet with Virginie Elias a couple of years ago when the Alliance was launched in Japan. And it was really great and inspiring to hear a lot of activities, sustainability activities that the BNG has been implementing. So so we have a lot of questions, and we will more or less follow this flow of questions, but depending on your comments, new information, I might ask slightly different questions. So please bear with me. I want to start with the origin of the Holy Grail, and about you. I guess that before you kind of started or you joined this project, you were doing other things, not necessarily this. So maybe if you could share with me what you did before the Holy Grail project.
Sure. Thanks for the question. So. Indeed, I'm working at Procter & Gamble now for the last 22 years, and I always have been working in packaging development, always have been based in Brussels, Belgium. Now, before working on Holy Grail, I basically have been working in multiple corporate roles. Actually, one of the first roles was very upstream, where I've been working on the development of basically new plastic resins. That time I was also doing a lot of what we call connect and develop work, working on very new innovative products and packages as well. Later on I moved into what we call business units, where I basically have been qualifying new packaging. Also had the experience of attending LAN trials on our packing lines, and that's where I basically learned a lot on bottle blowing, on packing, and these type of things. So I've been involved in the transition from, for example, liquid carton boards for our Lenore bottles, and I think Lenore is also something you're having in Japan. So we basically moved back in 2001 from a typical carton-based package like a liquid carton board into the first PT bottles. Next to that one, later on I also worked a lot on the redesign of our dish bottles, which are better known in Japan as the Joy bottle. So as you can see, a lot of development work, but then I was entering slowly more into sustainability projects, and the first one was actually again a bottle program where we have been adding sugarcane-based polyethylene into our Pantene hair care bottles. And so I gradually moved more and more into sustainability programs with a big focus, I would say, on plastics and plastic packaging and its recyclability profile itself. Sorry, Toshi, you're on mute. Sorry for that.
Okay. Is this okay? Do you hear me now? Okay, I'm
yes.
Sorry. I was saying that I can see that you're a real packaging and then sustainability expert. So it's great to have you. And so for the Holy Grail project, how did you get involved in this, and how did you join this project?
Yeah, I actually did not join the project. I actually established the program itself. The reason being is there was a lot of frustration at the time when I was doing sorting on our packages, especially on those ones that were redesigned in order to fit into the circular economy, right? So we were doing a lot of work on optimizing our packaging designs for better recyclability, but in a lot of cases it was going wrong in a sorting step. And so I questioned myself on how we could make pack much more better, more intelligent, and rely less on the classical near-infrared system of automatic sorting. So at that moment in time, and I'm talking 2015, I also did notice that a lot of people were actually trying to find ways, but there was no real attempt to work it as a full industry. And I think that's basically where I try to make a difference. The other thing is that indeed, I mean, in order to establish then the program, we have been initially working with the New Plastics Economy from the Ellen MacArthur Foundation. And so let me just quickly share 2 slides on that topic. So back in between 2016 and 2019, I have been leading what they call a pioneer program. So together with different partners, which you see here on the bottom of the slide. So 29 partners were already involved at that time, including our competitors. And as I said, I mean, I'm talking 2015, 2016, where the world was still somewhat different, where you typically were not working together with competing companies on these type of topics. Now, again, I think this was one of the major platforms, like the New Plastics Economy, opening up and really trying to push us to work together, which was obviously a great opportunity to start working on this Holy Grail program with a full value chain. So in the slide here, you see, I mean, the members are definitely members of a cross value chain, right? So you see here resin producers, you see converters, you see brand owners and retailers, but also technology providers. And so the key question there was like, what type of technology should be moved actually into the marketplace? Because what we've seen was that there was a lot of what we call tracer programs. That's basically what you see here. A tracer is something that we're adding to a pack, like a fluorescent item that under specific light conditions give you a specific signal. And based on the light intensity or the color, you can then do a sorting job. Now, the problem with that one, and around that time there were like 35 active tracer programs. The problem with that one is that you're adding chemistry. There is no ability to do any consumer interaction, and there is a limited amount of combinations possible. Whereas what I brought to the table at that moment in time was the use of digital watermarks, completely new for the waste industry. They originally thought I was totally crazy by introducing this, but very early in the game I saw that this was opening up much more, I would say, possibilities, because you can have unlimited amount of codes available. You can read it with your mobile phone, and many other benefits, right? So the idea really here was to align on an approach. And after 3 years of work that I've been leading under New Plastics Economy, we decided as a group that there is much more value actually in these type of watermarking systems versus traces. And that was truly the birth of what I would call Holy Grail 2.0.
What does a no consumer interaction, what does that mean, relationship with the consumer in this area?
Yeah, so the reason why digital watermarks was so interesting to me is that I saw a kind of a demonstration where people were selling, I would say, cornflakes for kids, and it came with an app, right? So the parents could download an app and they basically could interact with that package, and it would start playing a movie for the kids, an entertainment movie or whatsoever. And that's basically where I made a link. Like, if you can do that with kids, then obviously you also can do it with consumers. And for example, you can give instructions to a consumer how to sort correctly your package at the end of the life, right? Because a lot of the problems to date is that consumers have no clue where to sort their packages, especially if you're traveling. The problem is that, you know, the collection systems are unfortunately not harmonized. So every time you travel to another location, there are other rules. And this technology actually could help by making the instructions digital. So that's what I mean with consumer interaction.
I see. So using the app, and then they will see how they should treat those packages after the usage.
That's correct. Yes.
Right. Okay, great. So I guess then if you started this project within the P&G large corporation, I guess you are an entrepreneur. I guess that's how what people will call you.
That's how you can see it indeed, yeah.
Okay. So that means that you have been kind of playing the CEO role of the project within the company, and starting from the scratch and then growing and getting a lot of collaborators.
Yeah, I would see myself more as you know, a facilitator, or indeed, as you mentioned, an entrepreneur, not really the CEO. I mean, one of my original jobs was really trying to bring together all of the people that have had an interest to jointly work on this industry challenge, right? And it's something that no single company can do on its own, even if you have this membership of originally 29, today 172. It's nice to have such amount of members, but you really need to convince the whole value chain, because all of us have to do something, right? So it's trying to bring together all of those ones that are interested, trying to bring together the critical mass of people, and trying to move into and steer all these people into the direction, and convincing them that this has value for the industry.
Right. Okay, great. So I think this, you already touched upon this answer to this question, but the issues that the Holy Grail wanted to solve, if I understand correctly from that slide that you shared, one was the issue of accuracy of sorting. Another one was the adding unnecessary chemical components to the packaging, and then the customer interaction. What did I understand correctly, or was there any other big issues that you wanted to address?
No, I think the original focus, and definitely that's still the key focus, is that we would like to revolutionize the sorting technology, right? So that's key. In order to do so, we need indeed to find a better way, and we believe that digital watermarks would be a good technology to improve sorting, but also next to that one, provide much more on data granularity. As an example, the way we are sorting is based on product SKU information. So basically we can start counting the amount of items that are being collected, the amount of items that are sorted, and even the amount of items that are recycled. So it would be the first time in history that you can generate real numbers, real recycling numbers per product. Standard near infrared, which is today used in automatic sorting lines, is just having a look of material characteristics on items on the belt, but is not giving this type of granularity, right? So that's the key. We're doing SKU-based sorting rather than just relying on a standard near infrared signal, and that really makes it very interesting.
Right, so it allows the companies to learn a lot more about how waste are managed. That's great.
Correct.
So I believe when you came up with this digital watermark, you had some kind of other options. Maybe some are slightly similar, some are very different. And what are the other options that you considered, and how did you kind of decide on betting on this digital watermark?
Yep. So if I just go back a little bit in the history, as I mentioned, when we established this one, there was a lot of activities on these tracer systems. As I mentioned, probably 35 different tracer systems, tracer companies were looking into how can I use my system to improve sorting. So I decided to organize a conference in Brussels where I've invited the waste industry to attend. And I think we had something like 85 people attending. And I asked the major tracer companies to give us an update where they stand with that technology. And I also decided in the afternoon then to bring a company presenting digital watermarks, which was at that moment in time a concept that was totally new for the waste industry. Again, I'm talking 2015, before the establishment of Holy Grail 1.0. So I think I made a connection between their technology, at that moment in time mainly used for consumer engagement and anti-counterfeiting, and a potential use on automatic sorting lines, right? So initially, I think the audience thought I was totally crazy, but I think after doing some more work over the years, now everyone is really looking into this one as potentially a game changer. Since then, obviously, technology has evolved. There is now also a lot of work happening on artificial intelligence. And so what you see in the industry is that there is some work happening still on tracers, obviously a lot of work on watermarks, and also on artificial intelligence. So you see quite a lot of people are working on the topic simply because there is a need to revolutionize sorting as a whole.
Great, thank you. So when I think about the strength of the Holy Grail, you talked about the ability to identify the product, SKUs, the material used, etc. It's at the same time it could expose the company a lot more. And I see Copernic, we work in a lot of developing countries where the waste is one of the biggest issues being discussed, and we can already see from the packaging what company's products were they, but this kind of gives even more information through the digital watermark, and I believe it's useful for the waste management. But did you get any resistance from the companies or partners working in this industry?
Not at all. I think a lot of us are working on redesigning our packages so that they are fitting into the circular economy, and we all would like that those well-designed packages are, ending up into the right streams. So again, we believe that this technology is very innovative and really could help us getting much more PCR into the marketplace as well. So for Europe, we have estimated that if we apply and adopt this technology in all of the major sorting and recycling centers in Europe, we can get roughly anywhere between 1,500 and 3,500 additional, and that's kilotons per year. So 1,500 to 3,500 kilotons per year, additional extra PCR into the marketplace. So maybe let me just quickly explain the value and what really truly is the challenge or the problem that we are trying to solve here, right? So let me quickly share again my screen.
Yes.
Here we go.
Yes, I can see it.
So what are really trying to solve? So let me just quickly take you through what I call the 5-pillar, or even today the 5+1 pillar model. But it all starts here with design, right? So we as brand owners, retailers, we need to design our packages so that they're fitting into this type of circular economy circle, right? Let's call it like that. So we do have our goals as a company, as P&G, which we call our Ambition 2030 goals, to ensure that all of our packaging are either recyclable, and obviously their design is very important, but also that we're also focusing on reusable packaging. Now, let's not forget that reusable packaging one day also will need to get recycled. So also reusable packaging have to be designed so they're fitting into this circle. Then second one is that people need to have access to collection, and as already mentioned, harmonization is key. it's a bit strange that all of the member states here in Europe have other collection rules. It simply is not working, right? I'm living in a small country called Belgium, and sometimes I'm buying product with instructions for France or for the Netherlands. It doesn't make sense, and it's make it very complex for the standard consumer. Consumers also do play a big role here, because we ask them really to collect those empty packs into the right bins. And obviously these two also ensure that no plastic, no packaging are actually put into the environment. Then obviously sorting is where we are playing with Holy Grail big time, right? So it's one of the examples that we as P&G are advancing recycling solutions. And then obviously there needs to be, a market offtake. And we also made an ambition that we're going to reduce our use of virgin petroleum-based plastics by 50% globally. So that's the equivalent of 300 kilotons per year of virgin petroleum-based plastic. So that's huge. Okay. So let me explain it by a couple of examples. So we have indeed a couple of items where we have redesigned items. So these pouches, stand-up pouches, again, very popular in Japan. We have moved them out of the classical PET PE, and we moved them now into a monomaterial pouch that have been tested through recycling protocols from Recyclass here in Europe to prove that it's actually recyclable. Toothpaste tubes, for another example, is where we have been removing aluminum layers to make them better recyclable, and so forth. Okay. Reuse is another item where we are indeed introducing refill pouches and aluminum bottles. So that's another one. Then obviously Holy Grail, as mentioned, that's more focusing on sorting and consumer engagement. And then as mentioned, market pickup. We are using a lot of post-consumer recycled resin already, right? Our latest numbers are 72 kilotons per year, but as you've seen from the previous slide, we might go up to 300 kilotons to avoid the use of virgin petroleum-based plastics. So what does it mean for Holy Grail? Let's have a look into what it truly is. Holy Grail is basically a way to make packaging intelligent. And there are two ways to do this. Either I play with the artwork, as you can see here. So what you see here is a Lenore bottle, full body shrink sleeved. And in the label, I'm using the white existing ink here, and I put small white dots in the blue, and vice versa. I use existing blue here, and I put small blue dots in the white. So it's all to simplify, it's all about the Photoshop manipulation of the artwork. Another way to do it is that I just would, start putting the codes directly in molds. You see it here for a PET bottle. I can do it, and partners have done it on polyethylene bottles. We can do it on caps, injection molding, and other stuff, right? Now, what it truly brings is that once I have now an intelligent packaging, I can install what I call add-on modules. So what you see here is an add-on module made out of powerful LED light, high-speed cameras to identify those watermarks, and then a lot of computational power as well, right? But then it allows you to do things at sorting sensors, for example, to add safely items. Remember the pouch designed for recyclability, and now can safely add it into the film fraction. I can reject items that I don't want. Consumers typically are putting items in their collection bin that shouldn't go there. Think about silicone tubes, do-it-yourself tubes that contain silicones. We can easily reject them. And also importantly for the recyclers is that they now have a system that allows them to divide streams. Today, I mainly can use food-grade PET, an example. There is not such existing, such as detergent-grade PCR or cosmetic-grade or hygiene. So it's all about dividing streams. Okay. And maybe to finish off on the technology, I just would like to showcase you an example of a movie, so you can see the system a little bit in action. So let me just share this one, and I'm just gonna sound. Okay, so that's now muted. Good. So this is basically an example of the first unit, which we have been developing with a company called Pelank ST. And what you see here is a standard near-infrared sorting machine based on near-infrared, where we have been adding computers here in the gray box, and in a minute you will see the cameras and the LED light. So in the first experiments, we just have been dropping the enhanced samples either in the mold or on the artworks. And in the first experiments, we are just ejecting everything which has a code, which you will see in a minute. So it's proof, and you will see some numbers later on when we talk the details, but you will see that it's working pretty well. There are obviously a few mistakes here, but it's all within the success criteria of having more over 95% of ejection rates, right? So this is already giving us very good results. This is a more interesting experiment than the last experiment. We can program the machines such that certain items are sent into these type of bins. So in this case, we just programmed the machine. Everything which is rigid polyethylene polyprop goes in here, right? But that really gives you the power of technology, because a waste manager could decide that he only wants to have these type of coffee pouches, or only have these always films in the streams. Or he even can say like, look, I would like to have all of these polyethylene bottles except these type of products, right? And that really gives you the value of what I call product-specific sorting, rather than just relying on a near-infrared fingerprint.
Right. Wow, this is fascinating. It's great to see the videos, and it really shows what it does very clearly. So thank you. So what has been the most satisfying thing about the project?
Good question. We have organized a couple of open houses, both for Holy Grail 1.0 and 2.0. And it's great that you hear people talking about new ideas, new potentials when they see the technology at work, right? So I think that was very nice to hear, that we still learn what others think about the technology and what we can do with the technology. So, you know, a lot of stuff has been written on the topic in articles, magazines, podcasts, even sometimes independent from any of our members. But the true highlight, I would say, was really a BBC movie, which the BBC actually picked up the technology back in 2018, came over, made a movie, and launched it on their website. So it was at the time where there was a lot of plastic bashing, so everyone was allergic against plastics and so forth, and it was probably the first time where there was some good news related to plastic. So I think that was really a big highlight. Now, I think the other items, so those are highlights. I think in terms of challenges, we also obviously are dealing with challenges, especially the fact that we are dealing with now 172 different companies. And the biggest challenge, I would say, is that we are relying on brand owners and retailers, and we currently have 52 in the group. We are relying on them on putting product into the marketplace. Now, the committed volumes from those 52 brand owners and retailers are, to be honest, not high. In the last weeks, it has been increased, but it still remains relatively low, right? So yet we don't have enough commitments to move into our next phase. And so we are working on detailed plans on how to overcome that one as well. Right.
So when I see this looks really promising and interesting. And then if I try and see from the perspective of Southeast Asia or even Africa, where the collection system is not strong and sorting even makes it harder, and a lot of waste, even the organic ones, are not properly treated. And how could this be useful, or it can be introduced in the developing countries, in your opinion?
Very good question. I think developing countries one day will need to invest in waste infrastructure as a whole, right? In order to stop the waste going into the environment. And actually then they could benefit of this exploratory work we're now doing, meaning they immediately could buy these advanced machinery, right? But for now, indeed, I mean, given we are still working with manual waste pickers and manual sorters, I also think they could start using this technology. I mean, a lot of them actually do have a mobile phone at hand. And in case of doubt, they always could, by means of the app, they could scan the pack and determine what the composition of that package is. It also could allow them to make much better and higher quality PCR streams of the future. So think about the film sample, right? If you really would like to have high quality film, you really would like to know what type of printing inks have been used for that package, or what type of laminating adhesives have been used. So some of them would have the right inks and adhesives, so maybe you want to send it into one film stream to make extreme high quality PCR out of it, right? So I think that's where technology also could be used in developing countries.
Great, thank you. So I want to switch gear to insights to business sectors in Japan. And any companies always come up with a new product, new business models, but this Holy Grail seems to be very unique in the sense that it really tried to involve a lot of other companies in the value chain. And so what are the advice that you might have for the business sectors, especially in Japan, in trying to solve this big challenge that we are facing today?
Correct. So yes, you're right that today we indeed do have a lot of members, which you can see here once more on the screen, right? So I already mentioned a few times we are dealing with 172 members. That's really the latest number. Not sure, there are some companies in there that also do have activities in Japan, right? I mean, obviously you see Kao here as brand owner, but there are a few more here as well. My advice, I would say, to the business activities and the players in Japan is really to think about that 5-pillar model, right? At the end of the day, if one want to reduce the plastic waste, it's all about the 3 R's. It's reduce and eliminate items you don't need. So think about overpacking items. I mean, get rid of those ones. It's driving reuse. And again, in Japan, you already have quite a lot of refill models out there. And the 3rd R is then all about recycle. And in order for the recycling to work, you need to design your packages that are fitting into that circular economy, right? And that's actually true for mechanical recycling, but it's also true for advanced recycling, right? So think about dissolution recycling, or PET depolymerization, or even pyrolysis. All of them need to do a proper feedstock control, and the feedstock control can be realized through a better sorting job.
Great, thank you. Moving on to the relationship with APW and AIM. So what are the roles that the APW and AIM are playing at this point for the Holy Grail project?
Yes, so they obviously play a crucial role here. So basically, AIM is the facilitator of the initiative, and the initiative is now also powered by the Alliance to End Plastic Waste. So together with AIM, we have been working on a plan, which again I also quickly will try to share here on the screen. So the plan that we have been working together is a plan where we basically would like to move the program from a low technical readiness level to almost a commercial technical readiness level, right, into 3 phases. So we still consider this as being a R&D program, where we basically would like to move into phase 3. And I'm glad to say that indeed we just have been announcing that we have fully validated our second machine vendor, Tomra, now also in phase 2 here. So let me maybe quickly explain phase 1. Phase 1 was all about developing a functional prototype. We have been working with the 2 largest machine builders of these type of automatic sorting machines. So that's Palanca ST and Tomra, together with then the technology provider called Digimark. So phase 1, as you've seen from the movie, we had some very nice results coming out of the system. So very high detection rates, above 97%, and high ejection rates as well. And later on, we've repeated that work also with Tomra. So very high detections, very similar results, to be honest. Okay. Then we moved into what we call the phase 2, which is semi-industrial trials, and that's more about testing the equipment in what we call a semi-industrial environment. So think about industrial scale sized equipment installed in an R&D environment, and gradually adding more standard waste, first curbside collected waste, later on also standard dirty municipal waste, and trying to test the system to the extremes, making sure that the system works in all kinds of conditions. And so this is something we have been running at the city of Copenhagen, and there is quite a lot of information of that one available on our dedicated website. So if people want to have a look, it's all there. But we basically have been validated the full system, and you see the results here with very high detection ejection rates, but also very high purities coming out of a first sorting experiment. So what you also see here is flexibles. Flexibles are very difficult to sort, as you can imagine. But even the machine vendors were surprised to see these type of high numbers. Okay. We also have been testing the system on other items like LCBs, liquid carton boards, and paper-based. So it's more than plastics, but obviously the big focus is still for us on plastics. And now, as I was mentioning, we just have been now releasing 2 days ago, have been releasing the numbers here for the other machine vendor, Tomra, which you basically can see here. So again, very interesting results, and very similar to the previous one. Okay. So going back, and maybe I just stop sharing here, but going back to your original question, what's really the role here? I mean, obviously the role of AIM is to facilitate, to help us out, by means of support. We also have been recruiting technical project managers to help us out running all of these tests, supporting these testing and so forth. But AIM is doing much more. So they're also providing support in many ways, shaping the program, foresee legal support in contract negotiations with partners, setting up the meetings, making sure that there is certain antitrust framework in place and so forth, and also overseeing the overall communications. Obviously, the Alliance to End Plastic Waste has helped us to shaping the program and reviewing the status, ensuring the funding is in place, right? Because obviously this is coming at quite a decent cost. So we are grateful that the Alliance to End Plastic Waste has helped us funding, especially the phase 2, and also the upcoming phase 3, which I will talk in a minute as well. And also that we are reviewing the progress on a regular basis with them, and also start already work in parallel on adoption strategies, which is important then to scale it inside Europe, but then also outside in other regions of the world. So that's very important. So in a nutshell, I mean, having both parties for sure has been speeding up the initiative. Let's indeed not forget we do have 172 members, which represent the full value chain. Some of them have their own agendas, some of them are just there to observe, but it's really up to us to make sure that we're making progress, which is not, as said, straightforward with 172 members, but I think with the support of both AIM, the Alliance, and some very very active members, including some of my colleagues. We are able indeed to make progress.
Great. And thank you also for sharing the Holy Grail 2.0 ideas on the slide. Is there anything you want to say more about the next phase of the Holy Grail?
Definitely. So as mentioned, we are now just validated to machine vendors. So basically, that's ending our phase 2. And so now we're moving into the very exciting phase of phase 3, obviously. Phase 3, it's all about what we call national test markets, the start of national test markets. So basically, the brand owners and the retailers are requested to put enhanced products into the markets. And as markets, we have selected Denmark, Germany, and France. Consumers will buy those products, consume it, hopefully put it in the right sorting bins, and then we will install our units at a couple of selected sorting centers and recyclers based in Germany and France. So that's really the last phase. It's really to test it in real industrial conditions at selected material recovery facilities called MRFs, plastic recovery facilities, and 2 recyclers. So that's basically the plan. We are currently working with AIM and the Alliance to End Plastic Waste, which, whenever it's finalized, we also will announce, obviously within the membership, but also externally. So that's the plan. As a company, I'm glad to say that we are actually highly committed, and we are putting all of these products now into the marketplace. So it's more than 100 SKUs that we have already put in the market, because most of these products you see here on the slide actually have been launched in the markets that I was mentioning, either Denmark, Germany, and France. And so that's, I think, exciting progress. And we do hope that the other 52 brand owners obviously going to launch as many SKUs as what you can see here on the screen.
Great. Thank you so much for really sharing this very exciting and inspiring project. I can only imagine how challenging it might be to coordinate, facilitate, and work with a lot of stakeholders like this. But seems like there has been a lot of tangible progress, and soon we'll see this technology applied in a commercial way. So that's very, very exciting. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much for your interest. And once more, I wanted to thank AIM and obviously the Alliance to support us on this important program. I can tell you it's indeed not easy. What we're trying to do, it's all about revolutionizing sorting. Everyone has to do something, which is coming at a certain cost. And it's the classical chicken and the egg situation that we need to crack, and that hopefully we can crack soon. But I think with the program, the 3-phase approach that we have put in place, we eventually will get there. So thanks once more for your time listening. And as mentioned, there is quite a lot of additional information if you go to our website, digitalwatermarks.eu, or you obviously can follow me for the latest news also on LinkedIn.
Great. Thank you so much, Gian, for your time.